Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Mostly Low Budget Movie Reviews. I am your host, Clarence. Thank you for tuning in. In today's episode, I have a movie I was actually going to go to the movies to see, but it didn't do very well and it went to streaming very quickly. I'm talking about Masters of the Universe. Now, I'm an old man, so this IP resonates with me. But when I saw it did poorly, I really wasn't that surprised. I mean, I don't recall anyone demanding a new He-Man movie. Still, there's enough old heads out there like me that, I didn't know it was going to be a major flop. I figured, there was enough people that make it like maybe do okay or a moderate success. So the question is here, is the quality really that bad or was just no one in the target audience interested? Well, what is this one about? Now, we start out on planet Eternia in the capital city of Eternos. And we catch up with young Prince Adam and his friend Teela. Now, they're going through training drills from their instructor and Teela's father, Duncan, who's the king's man-at-arms. Adam is pretty flaky and his father is hard on him, so he feels unworthy. Later, the city is attacked by Skeletor and his forces, and they're quickly overwhelmed, and Adam's parents are captured. The Sorceress sends Adam through a portal to Earth with the Sword of Power, but he loses his grip during the transport. We fast forward 15 years later, and Adam is living a regular life working in human resources. He remembers who he is, but no one really believes him because he tells everybody. Now, he's intent on finding the sword and in turn his true purpose. One day while working, he gets a tip on where the sword might be, and it is indeed the real sword. He steals it and is arrested. On his way to the station, Beastman shows up to get the sword and deal with Adam. At the same time, Teela shows up to intervene. And that's where I'll stop, because from there, Teela takes him back to Eternia to save his family, rescue the people that are now under Skeletor's rule, and take his rightful place on the throne. So what did the pros think? They came in at a 67% on 255 reviews, which actually is pretty solid. But what shocked me was the audience score at 86% on over 5K ratings. So why didn't anyone watch this? Let me start with the positives. The look. Pretty much all of the characters were faithful to the source material, with the exception of the race swap with Man-at-Arms, but I'll get into that in a minute. I especially liked the look of Skeletor. I mean, they really nailed his on-screen persona, the way he moved and walked around. I mean, the special effects on that part were pretty good. Visually, everything was on point. Eternia was represented with a strong visual style. It did feel like the cartoon at times, which brought over that, wave of nostalgia you expect from these kind of movies. The story itself was just okay. And there are some colorful performances, which I did enjoy, but also that's where my negatives start. This would have been better if they just made like a random fantasy movie. People like me who, remember the actual series, and I am part of that target audience they were going for. I have to say, this is not what I wanted from a He-Man movie at all. The cartoon had some comedic elements, but it had more of a serious tone overall. Now, Orko and Battle Cat usually provide the comic relief. Orko wasn't in it at all except for one little cameo scene at the end, and Battle Cat played a very small role. So they made Adam the comic relief. And he came off as a joke instead of the hero he was supposed to be after his transformation into He-Man. He was still in the comedic character thing even when he was He-Man. So that's a huge disconnect there. Duncan is my biggest problem. Forget about I know some people early on had a problem with, the race swap or whatever. Okay, fine. And I agree. Duncan's white in the cartoon, so you should be white in the movie, and that's fine. But that's not even my biggest problem with that. Duncan was a serious character with a sense of duty and pride. And basically, after Skeletor came and, they fast forward those 15 years, they made him a drunk. I mean, he was like throwing up on people. It was just shocking. It was like, this is what became of Duncan after this. He wasn't like on a mission bound duty to like save the king and get the throne back and all that. No, he just becomes a embarrassing drunk to his daughter Tila. Skeletor was definitely more menacing in the cartoon. Again, they got that look right, but they made him crack way too many jokes. He would say something serious and then do some kind of one-liner thing, and the delivery was a little weird. There was just this layer of cheese that I just couldn't get over, and it felt way too childish. The plot was super generic, and the runtime was so bloated. I mean, it was 140 minutes, right? A lot of fluff in there. I mean, for this kind of a plot, it is super basic. There's no need for that kind of a runtime, but I don't want to beat this one up too much. Let me bottom line this one for you. Did I enjoy it? Now, I got to do this in two parts because it's a generic fantasy action movie. If I remove the licensing from this, it's fine. I would put this right at a 60% on the Rotten scale. It's just a random fantasy movie. However, if this was supposed to be He-Man, and while they got the look right again, they failed with the tone and the feel of Masters of the Universe. And in that case, I put this right at a 50%. That audience that scored this movie, they must have been scoring as just like a random fantasy thing. I didn't see anyone with a positive review that grew up on the cartoon. They must have not have known anything really about the IP when they actually did. The people that gave it such high scores. So I figured once the people in my bracket that were interested, they heard it was silly, they all just checked out and didn't bother watching it. $170 million budget and only did 114 during its theatrical run. Yeah, they blew this. I mean, because this could have been a franchise. They teased this end credit that would have been interesting had they gotten this right, but there's no way that's going to see the light of day. And honestly, I really don't want to see another one if this is how it's going to be. With that being said, I'll close it out right here. If this is your first time, don't make it your last. This has been a Podbean production, mostly low-budget movie reviews with Clarence. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. And I will be back again this weekend with a video review. I think I teased it in my last episode, but I'm going to tease it again here. It is a movie of a video game that has a very, very basic plot, but they somehow made it into a movie. You want to know what that is? You're going to have to go over to Low Budget Movie Reviews with Clarence, my YouTube companion channel, and check it out over there because I'm going to do that review over there and not here. So if you want that full scope of everything I do, you got to subscribe to both. But again, thank you once again. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time. Peace.